I want to maybe reframe the word relax because they're told far too often, oh, just relax and it will happen. And it can feel very insulting to their experience. But when you said receive and
Yeah,
allow and believe and trust, that has
yeah,
a different experience than kind of go sit in the corner and do your meditation and relax. Just for the sake of this conversation
yeah.
and anybody listening, I wouldn't want anybody to turn away from listening because of the word relax, which is unfortunately the word has gotten a little bit of a bad rap.
And for the longest time, I couldn't relax. I didn't allow myself because I thought resting was not good for me.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're up to the minute in receiving new information that is dropped for new health insights. Well, welcome to today's episode of Health University, where we talk all things fertility, pregnancy and postpartum, and what I call the pre-perimenopause timeframe, straight into perimenopause and menopause. They're all sometimes seemingly quick steps across the bridge of a woman's life. And so today we're going to cover an area that is important to all of these steps across the bridge of a woman's life, and that is the appropriate skin care to reduce the toxic load on our bodies. And I'm delighted to have Michelle Doan here to talk with us about her skincare line, her history, how she came to create this line, and what we can learn from her and about it. The line is called Imani Vegan Cosmetics. She is founder of Imani Vegan Cosmetics and a pioneer in clean beauty long before it became a trend. Born in Vietnam, Michelle's family escaped by boat and spent time in the Thai refugee camps before building a new life in California. Those early experiences shaped the resilience, gratitude, and perspective that would later inspire her business and life philosophy. In 1998, while raising two young children as a single mom, I was a single mom as well, Michelle launched Imani to solve her own struggles with cystic acne, sensitive skin, and later hormonal and menopausal skin changes. Today, Imani combines clean ingredients with advanced Korean skincare to
Yeah.
help women feel confident in their skin at every stage of life. She believes that beauty isn't about perfection, it's about feeling comfortable, confident, and at home in your own skin. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome to today's episode of Health University. And did I miss anything in the bio that you would want to make sure that the listeners and viewers get to know about you?
I, I think that sounds really amazing. And at the end of the day, it's, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything, to be honest.
Hmm.
And so for us, it's always been a day one mission for us because I had horrible cystic acne.
Hmm.
And I realized that there are so many products out there with junk
Yeah.
ingredients. And in 1998, I learned really fast about, what I can put on my body, what can I put on my skin. That really affected and impacted my health.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And did you ever learn the cause of your cystic acne, or were you able to just really remedy it strictly with skincare alone?
Yeah. So I come from a family of cystic acne. So
Mhm.
we have bad hair, bad skin, and everything else, eczema, you name it.
Okay.
And what I thought was a curse turned out to be almost like a life mission and a blessing, right? And this is where perspective is so powerful. So for the longest time, I was like, wow, why do I have cystic acne? And you felt so ugly and your
Yeah. And
hormones
it
is going all
hurts.
over the place and it
Hmm.
hurts.
Hmm.
Yeah, like a cystic acne facial is very painful. And I didn't really know much about skincare and beauty ingredients because in the 80s and the 90s, there were very little information that's available. There was very little education that is available. And I met an esthetician that really changed my life because she saw how bad my skin was. And she's
Hmm.
like, you know what? I can help you. And by that time, I've already been to so many dermatologists.
Right.
I took Accutane that really messed me up, Susan.
Of course.
Then all these really topicals, and uh, and then it really changed my life because I'm still dealing with like the side effects, inflammations, digestive issues,
Hmm.
and I think it affects your overall health in the
Of
ways that
course.
you feel.
Of
So
course.
she taught me about comedones. And back then, I didn't even know there was such a list. Comedones are like ingredients that clog your pores.
Mm,
And back then, there was really not any products for my acne skin. And
mhm.
so going in for an acne facial, she uses a lancet that would prod every single acne and she would squeeze them out. And my body would go into such stress that I
Yeah,
would get into a cold sweat and
yeah,
I would be crying and I would be wearing Neosporin,
yeah.
right? And so that was like the impact of my journey. And when I started learning about ingredients and things like that, like I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to start a beauty company because, I was really selfish. More like I needed something and it wasn't out there. And I was so frustrated. And then I had this list and I went shopping. And guess what? I couldn't find anything that would be suitable for my skin.
That's interesting.
And that's a birth of Imani. This is back in the 90s where we don't have information in the palm of our hands.
Yeah. Well, and also back in the 90s, we were really much more, I'm going to use the term victim, um,
Yeah.
to marketing, right? It was less about be healthy. It was more about look a certain way at whatever cost. And regrettably, the cost was to our health because at that time, even though the impression was to be healthy, the ways to get there would wreak havoc on the digestive system. So it's interesting and not surprising at all that you said that there's a link between your skin issues and a weakened digestive system because we were eating, low fat processed foods that unbeknownst to us because we didn't pay attention, but nobody told us were high in sugar, high in inflammatory preservatives and so forth. So I'm delighted that you were able to help yourself. I'm delighted that you met this person who was able to help guide you and that now you've got an entire, skincare and beauty line that can help others as well. And this line is vegan, by the way, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
vegan. And it's simply because, like through my product journey, first I wanted to develop a product line that is safe for acne skin like myself, right? I
Hmm.
can put on and it doesn't break me out. So what does that mean from a product standpoint? Was that I had to eliminate so many ingredients out of it. And, during the 90s, this is where like the mineral foundation revolution, right? So I was there for that revolution and kind of educating people that there is a new and alternative way.
Hmm.
Unfortunately now it's more like long wearing foundation that you can wear for 18 to 24 hours. And it's quite not healthy for your
Right.
skin. And it's
Right.
not healthy for your our body because as you know, our body is like the largest organ. Whatever we put on it, it's going to go directly into our system.
And
And
moreover, if you've got a barrier for 18 hours, your skin isn't able to breathe and excrete the toxins. And that leads me to the concept of, no, the reality of the skin microbiome. We talk a lot about gut microbiome, vaginal microbiome, but we don't talk about the skin microbiome. Can you give us a little primer lesson on, what do we need to know about the skin microbiome?
I think a lot of consumers are really confused. What is skin microbiome? The way that I explain it, the skin microbiome. So imagine there are like bodyguards for your skin,
Mhm.
right? So it helps to protect your skin. But when you start using products with like low pH that are very harsh, right? Let's say if you overuse retin-A. Now, retin-A can be good using in moderation and under a supervised, but it's also chemicals, right? If you use things like that affects your pH, you're going to compromise your microbiome layer.
Mhm.
And what you're looking to do is to improve, like younger, to have healthier looking skin. Without proper care, you can actually cause your skin to accelerate aging.
That's
Because when you
interesting.
start depleting and then killing all those microbiome in your skin that keeps your skin young and supple, there are so many things that we actually don't see down the line.
Hmm. Hmm. That's really interesting. And so it's again, not just the products that we put on our skin, but what we put in our bodies and our hydration and so forth. That's equally as important to make sure that our skin microbiome, which is a reflection of what's going on inside, right? It's not while it is the barrier, it is not separate from the rest of our bodies. So you've mentioned that you combine, your own shall we say recipes and that you
Yeah.
include Korean products. Can you tell us a little bit more about that
Yeah.
recipe?
So when we first started, we were very strong in cosmetics, like in makeup and foundations and lipstick. It was a very fashionable line. But as soon as I was going through perimenopause, and then when menopause hit me, and a lot of our customers like, hey, when are you going to make skincare? I love natural skincare, but when I'm over 45, now I'm 56, right? Um, I realized it's like my skincare changed, so I can't really use the same skincare and expect different results. And so K-beauty was very hot coming out in the market about a decade ago.
Hmm.
And about 6, 7 years ago, I went to Korea and find out what is their secret sauce? Like,
Hmm.
what are they doing that's really unique and different? And the first thing that I find out is that they use a lot of products and a lot of steps. They used to have like a 10-step skincare. And for American lifestyle, it doesn't work for me because I'm a very minimalism lifestyle.
Hmm.
And what I also find too is that there are a lot of ingredients. You know, when you start thinking about parabens, and it's still befuddling to me that there are still products out there with parabens and people are not reading it. These are hormone
Yeah,
disruptors. These are
parabens,
like,
phthalates, toxic
yes,
preservatives. Yes. Hmm.
these are absolutely something that you don't want in your body and you really want to screen for, right?
Did you find
On
parabens in these Korean skincare lines?
most of them, yes.
Oh,
And that's
interesting.
why they're getting a little bit better.
Hmm.
And so now they're using alternative.
Hmm.
But for everyone that's listening, please read the label and kind of understanding what you're putting on your body, including food label.
Hmm.
This is why we eat less processed food. We're overloading our body and our liver, that our body is like trying to purify, process all these things. So therefore, it takes away the function of other things that you might want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I
Like
think it's
like
kind of,
for
yeah.
the liver, creating and clearing hormones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And another thing too is that fragrances.
Oh,
Fragrances is a huge, huge violator.
yes.
Um,
Don't get me started. I mean,
yeah,
we may as well be snorting poison when we're spraying some of these perfumes or lighting the candles or air
yeah,
air fresheners. It's really so toxic.
yeah. And there's healthy natural alternative and things like that. And so for sensitive skin, you're putting fragrances in skincare has 26 different allergens. So
Mhm.
like let's just say, you're trying to get pregnant, you're pregnant, and you're trying to take care of your skin, and you're not, and you're reducing how much ingredients are going into your body, right? The first thing you want to avoid is any fragrances that you're putting on your body.
Mhm.
Because, we talk about hair dyes, we talk about everything else, but we don't talk about what we're inhaling.
Yep. And in our sort of laundry and cleaning, products as well. Yes, I couldn't agree more. So you for Imani, Imani, yes. I want to make sure that we talk about this ancient fermentation process
Yeah.
that is it's seemingly exclusive to your product line. Tell us what is this?
Yeah. So when I was in Korea, right, I found things that was really kind of didn't fit for us because we are clean, but we also want high performance. Excuse
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
We want to clean and high performance. And I think about how are we delivering nutrients to your skin?
Hmm.
And so we visited so many labs, talked to so many brands, and we found this one company, one lab, and they said, Michelle, we have 13 patents to process raw materials. And I'm like, tell me more. I'm so curious. They said we can take natural ingredients, like one of the patent process is for ginseng. We can take ginseng compound, and we are taking it from 200 parts per million. And through this patent process, we can break it down to 2,000 part per million.
Wow.
So making it like super bioavailable. So we're
Hmm.
taking something that is really nourishing and
Hmm.
then make it in a way where our skin can absorb,
Can actually absorb it. Yes. Hmm.
actually absorb. And so that's why we think about like when it comes to skincare, like anything else, I look at potency. Like if
Mhm.
you're looking at vitamins and nutrition, you want to know how many units, how excessive, and
Mhm.
how many should you take. Same thing with skincare is that how much is it water? How much is it vanity claims?
Let's talk about water because I have
Mm.
heard water in beauty products because I've heard people say if water's an ingredient, then probably it is not as optimal a product as possible. And I have no idea if that is a true statement or a myth. Can you share your opinion on that?
Yeah. So it depends on the level and the percentages of water. So
Hmm.
if you're buying something that is 90% water,
Right.
you're not getting a lot of nutrients in your skin. So it's really important to pay attention how much water. So if you're going to go and buy like a skincare, you want to make sure that's clean, right? Because you want to
Yeah.
protect your body, but you also want to know like how much water they're putting in. Water is really great because our body, water is it's our natural
Right.
state. It's kind of like a natural delivery system, right?
Right.
But then we want to make sure that we get these wonderful percentages of active ingredients, that's really going to help our skin.
So, I mean, a lot of times products won't say how much water, but maybe where it's placed on the label, does that indicate how much water? I mean, if it's the first ingredient, possibly that might not be having a lot of active compounds, but if it's
Yeah,
the fifth or sixth or tenth ingredient, perhaps it's just to enable the delivery system. Is that an accurate presumption?
it is an accurate assumption, but
Mhm.
every formula is really different. Okay,
Okay.
we have some products that listed with water as a first ingredient, but the water could be only about 30%, right? And then you have like that we put in like 10% aloe when we put in niacinamide. So you have to take a look at what else is in there. And
Hmm.
if people reach out to us like, hey, what's your water content? We will tell you exactly what's in it, right?
Hmm.
And so it's usually what you're saying is correct, is descendant of how it is. Now, when it comes to potency, the percentages matter.
Hmm.
But also, we want to talk about like how much.
Hmm.
Like anything else, too much vitamins is going to exhaust the liver.
Right.
Too much vitamin C is going to irritate your
Be
skin.
harsh. Yes. It's acidic. So I've put together a free 28-day detox masterclass that you can access by clicking on the link below. And now let's go back to our show.
So more is not better. So it's about like smart formulations. It's about understanding how skin biology works. The same thing as your how does your body
Hmm.
works. So we think a lot about your skin pH.
Hmm.
We formulate for our skin pH. So vitamin C for the sweet spot for vitamin C is between 9 and 10%
Okay.
because it's going to give you enough results without irritating your skin.
And
And
is
it
that
depends on the type of vitamin C.
and is it equally across the board if you're a 28-year-old or a 58-year-old, that percentage of vitamin C, or does it change, does the ingredients list or the recipe, if you will, change depending upon how our skin changes over age?
Yeah, I think age is definitely a factor, but I
Mhm.
think it's also the skin health is a factor. You
Mhm.
can be 28 and don't take care that haven't really paid
Good point.
attention to your skin and don't have a good regimen. But if you're like 58, but you really take care of your skin, so it really depends on your skin health, right?
Mhm.
And so I always err on the side of caution.
Mhm.
Instead of doing something really extremely like high, just kind of introduce a couple of products that you have vetted that it's and then you start a baseline and you're
Mhm.
going to see how your skin feel. If you're getting results or not getting the results, then you can adjust
Mhm.
accordingly.
Does Imani have a sort of a
Mm.
basic starter kit, if you will?
Yes.
Hmm.
We have a starter base and it depends on what type of skin that you have. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you have dry acne and inflammation, we have a three-piece skin kit. And
Right.
the first one is a good cleanser.
Hmm.
Like you need a soft cleanser and it has to be SLS free.
Hmm.
You know how, sodium lauryl sulfate
Right.
could also disrupt our hormone,
Right.
right? And so plant-based is really incredible. We also put in fermented sake, which is part of our fermentation
Oh,
process.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
So,
you can pour a little glass while you're doing your skincare regimen, perhaps. Not if you're pregnant, mind you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's kind of funny. I've been blessed. I can't drink because I turn super red and it makes me feel terrible. So
You're
I'm a
lacking that
non-drinker.
enzyme. Yeah, that there,
Mm,
it's common
mm,
in the Asian
mm, mm.
population to be lacking the enzyme that helps to digest the alcohols, and so that flush it is very
Yeah,
uncomfortable and embarrassing. So yes,
it's embarrassing.
it,
Yeah, so a good cleanser is really good, but you also know how to like you don't want to strip your skin, right?
right.
And especially, you if you are struggling with fertility, you might want to limit like how much you are exposed to
Hmm.
these ingredients. So like SLS, parabens, mineral oils, and things like that. We have to bring it into our awareness. And then you have to be in optimal health, right?
Hmm.
Hydration, vitamins, nutrients, all these things has to come together. And
Yeah.
then we want to create a very relaxing, right? Because I think when our body, our mind, our soul relax, then you were talking about receiving and welcoming, and that
Hmm.
is very, very magical.
Hmm. I
And so
agree. I couldn't
cleansing is
agree
good,
more. Hmm.
right?
And that level of cleansing, intentional cleansing, knowing that you are putting on your skin or in your body, but
Yeah.
for skincare on your skin, something that is healthy, it changes your
Mm.
whole physiology because you're emotionally engaged
Yeah.
with being healthy. And as a
Yeah.
result, you are going to feel healthier and make better choices and have better sleep and so on.
Yeah. And what you said I really love is that when we are pushing and when we're pulling, um, I think we don't make room for magic.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
qi is actually in Chinese med, I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, and we would say
Yeah.
when we are pushing, we're
Yeah.
constricting, and then when we're constricting with that sort of singular focus, we are then setting ourselves up for stagnation, which then
Yes.
could result in clogged pores, weakened
Yeah.
digestion, and certainly exacerbating emotional lability, usually irritation or depression or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I grew up with TCM. And I love acupuncture.
Mhm.
And it bring me like the most relief than more than any medication ever could.
Mhm.
And then also like I'm so glad that so many women are using TCM
Yeah.
for fertility.
Yes.
And I think that's really critical. That's really important. And we work with three different clinics in Canada.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, and she does that. And then she also does anti-aging. So instead of like doing Botox, she has TCM for the face, which
Yeah.
is, I think, super fun. And then also you just need a serum. We create something, we call it the sleep and renew. I really encourage sleep. And sleep is when we restore, right? When we rest.
Mhm.
Body needs rest. So I want to maximize the time that we're resting. So we create a 0% water, 85% probiotics from lactobacillus
Oh, interesting.
with apple and papaya niacinamide. And what our customer typically find is that after a week, they notice that their skin is actually a lot smoother.
Hmm.
And then your pores is refined. And now it starts with texture. So if your skin feels really rough and things like that, I think about, you know, the experience and the final experience, the tactile experience. So the Sleep and Renew has like less than 20 ingredients.
Hmm.
Then we have something what we call a collagen. It's called vegan collagen, but we actually don't put collagen in it. We actually use a fermented yeast
Hmm.
that promote collagen production
Interesting.
because collagen powders and extract, the molecules are really too big to absorb into your skin. So it
Mhm.
actually is just sitting on the top of your skin.
Right. Caking it. Hmm. Yeah.
And so what we're looking to do is we're looking the fermentation to deliver the nutrients to the second and the third layer of your skin to really promote that. But
Okay.
then
I
not having
I want
any,
to highlight that. So the yeast fermentation process in your product allows for the delivery to get past the epidermis, the outside layer, and deeper into the dermal layer. That is
Yeah.
where the collagen production will then take place. And then from the inside out, we start to feel more, firm, plumper, fun,
Yeah.
yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. And it has like a really beautiful consistency. I love it because when you put it on and you feel like, I don't want to call it coating, but it feels like it's like a nice surface and
Hmm.
it gives you a really glowy look.
Hmm.
And from someone who's had cystic acne,
Hmm.
who struggled with all of her life, right? And thank God I don't have like the pocketed acne.
Hmm.
I get a lot of compliments on my skin.
You have beautiful
And
skin.
then when I tell people that, I used to have cystic acne, they're like, oh, you don't look like it. Are you serious? Do you have
Mm.
any before photos? And I'm like, no. I grew up in the 80s and I was so embarrassed to be in photos.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
So and that circles back to our emotions. It is a very interactive and circular experience that when as I said, when we take good care of ourselves, we are uplifting and engaging and intending then therefore to do better. But when we're seeing a mirror image that has us
yeah,
feeling bad about ourselves, that causes us to secrete all kinds of sort of, I'm not going to use the term negative hormones, but hormonal activity
yeah,
that exacerbates the problem. So, cortisol spikes, insulin spikes,
yeah,
our dopamine and serotonin go down. And so we're in this constant spiral, if you will, of feeling poorly and looking poorly. So,
yeah.
I guess my takeaway from this conversation is something as simple as skincare can be a true therapeutic model for changing your whole life experience.
I think how we feel about ourselves is so critical and our thoughts, right?
Hmm.
Is so critical to our quality of life.
Hmm.
Right? And I only say it because I went through, a really tough period during COVID where my business plummeted, right? And I was living in a place of fight or flight. I have chronic inflammation. I was going through a depression,
Hmm.
and it really affected how I felt. I gained weight, but worse than that, I didn't love and I didn't accept myself. I was so miserable,
Hmm.
Susan.
Hmm.
And when I started to change my mindset, and I did some really simple, I'm not the sit and empty your mind meditation kind of person.
Hmm.
So I started listening to books like Don't Believe Everything You Think. Then I'm
Hmm.
start curating what type of thoughts that I want to do. And our minds are so brilliant that whatever you focus on,
Yes.
you're going to get more of.
Yeah, you create. I mean, that is how we create anything, right? We think of it first. And so if
Yeah,
we're thinking that life is abundant and and life and people in life are here to
yeah,
support us and love us, then we
yeah,
create more of that. We're a magnet for that. Whereas if our thoughts that we're creating are, I'm all alone in this, it's hard, it'll never change, we create the magnetic environment that pushes those folks that would want to help us away. They can't, we're not letting them in. We're not letting
yeah.
life in. So, yes.
Yeah. And
And
I wanted to share with you
mm,
like a quick story about my
yeah,
sister.
please.
She had a son and she wanted a second baby, right?
Hmm.
And unbeknownst to me, she and her husband was trying for 2 years and she was approaching 45.
Hmm.
Okay. And finally, she was coming to me. She's like, I've been trying for a baby and she's been really quiet and she's been quietly suffering,
Hmm.
right? And then a couple of months later, she called me and she's like, I want to talk to you. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, you know what? She's like, when we were trying and pushing so hard and it was so disappointing every month, is when I'm like, okay, you know what? If it happens, it happens. I'm going to take care of myself. And now Emmy is almost 1 year old.
Oh, that's
And she's so
lovely.
magical. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my sister's 45, having a baby at 45.
Yes.
And, and
Which
she's
is
like,
much more common these days, but usually through the help of IVF,
yeah,
not a natural conception. I mean, it obviously does happen, but it's not as common. That is such a lovely story, and for her daughter, Emmy, you said is her name. I mean, that she was then able to grow, be conceived in, and grow in an environment that wasn't full of inflammatory chemicals because your sister was much more in a place of I'm just, I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna support my body and my
yeah,
mind and my spirit. And that is what got imprinted on
yeah.
little Emmy, who's now a beautiful 1 year old baby girl. That is a great story.
Yeah, and I love it. And I said,
Mhm.
good things happen when you start relaxing and then make space. And
Hmm.
I do that. I'm blessed with three beautiful children. I'm a grandma of three beautiful grandbabies.
Hmm.
And I notice, like, even in my business and my life, the harder I fight, the harder things become. But if we started to relax and flow and receive,
Hmm.
and that's when like magic happened. And when I said magic and miracle, it's not big. It's always like the little things that we overlook.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. And I'm so much more aware of it
Yeah.
now.
For the viewing and listening audience, I want to maybe reframe the word relax because they're told far too often, oh, just relax and it will happen. And it can feel very like insulting to their experience. But
Yeah,
when you said receive and
yeah,
allow and believe and trust, that has
yeah,
a different experience than the, kind of go sit in the corner and do your meditation and relax kind of. So I just wanted, just for the sake of this conversation
yeah.
and anybody listening, I wouldn't want anybody to turn away from listening because of the word relax, which is, it's just gotten, unfortunately, the word has gotten a little bit of a bad rap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And for the longest time I couldn't relax.
Yeah.
And I didn't allow myself because I thought resting was not good for me. And
Hmm.
matter of fact, resting is it's so magical to be
Hmm.
able to rest.
Hmm. Hmm. I
Yeah.
have a teacher who I follow, a person who I follow, who speaks to that the moment you open your eyes, and maybe even before you actually open your eyes, the moment you become
Yeah.
conscious after a night's sleep, that's when you want to start feeding yourself these, and not necessarily positive affirmations, but statements of hope and
Yeah.
potential and seeing the abundance that is actually already there. I mean, the gift that you got to wake up one more time,
Yes.
the gift that it is a sunny day that's about to
Mm.
approach today, or even a rainy day if we need it. That
Yeah.
kind of mindset, and then the mindset that then says, okay, now that I've kind of filled myself up with these good feelings, how can I give that out to the world and see what
Yeah.
thoughts come up, like who comes to mind who might need a friendly text or a little bit of extra
Yeah.
attention, or just acknowledgement that their presence in this world matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. How we wake up is going to determine what type of day that we have.
Hmm.
And so I allow myself anywhere from 10, 20, 30 minutes, depends on the kind of day I'm having.
Hmm.
And it's just to connect with myself. And it makes
Hmm.
such a big difference in my day.
Hmm.
And I just do these micro habits stacking.
Hmm.
I kind of lay in bed. I love Louise Hay, so I listen to her for a little bit. I have
Hmm.
my little LED pad. I do like a little bit of lymphatic massage because I have a stiff neck,
Hmm.
right? And that's how I wake up. And I love massaging the ears because that's like
Hmm.
our
Yes, all those
micro
acupuncture
tissue.
points. Mhm. Yeah.
And that's how I wake up. And after, 55, things get a little crunchy when you get out of bed, walking down the stairs
My
and
dear,
things like
I'm
that.
rolling into 68 this year, so I completely understand.
You look amazing.
That
If
we
if
really
you
do
guys are
need to pay attention to resourcing,
Yeah.
replenishing ourselves morning and evening. And then it actually seems to happen almost instinctually throughout the day when we start our day intentionally and end our day intentionally, even if it was a rough day, just that moment of like, okay, yeah, it was a rough day and some good things happened and I got through it.
Yeah.
If that's the only thing that
Yeah.
happened is that I get to go to sleep again because I got through the day, that
Yeah.
changes our mindset and changes our lived experience. Well,
Absolutely.
I could talk with you forever. I want to be mindful of your time and the listener and viewing audience's time. So just kind of
Yeah.
to sum up, some of the key points are realize that your skin has a microbiome that you want
Yeah.
to be kind to and nourishing and not stripping it of its important flora and bacteria that is protecting us. That the nature of our skin is a reflection of our whole health. And so putting things in our body and putting things on our body is really mission critical to good health, whether you're trying to conceive or not. Certainly, if you're pregnant and nursing, and then to enjoy a more fun experience of perimenopause and menopause, because ladies out there, it's not bad. It's actually kind of cool. So we've gotten some misinformation that it's something to dread. As we
Yeah.
take care of ourselves earlier, as soon as we take care of ourselves, it begins to change the experience so that we're actually having a fun, healthy later in lifetime, shall we say. And then be aware of the labeling, and so take a look at your labels. And I'm going to have in the show notes again the link to Imani, and so people can find out more. I'm sure that there's educational information on the website as well as product purchase information.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me
My
today,
pleasure.
Dr.
So
Fox.
lovely to meet you and have this conversation. Viewers, listeners, thank you so very much for your time. We know it can be spent anywhere, and we really appreciate you spending it with us for these last 39 minutes. And so if this resonated with you, if you know of somebody who's got, kind of skin issues, and we all have skin, so if you know, we all have potential skin issues, and certainly if you know of someone who's trying to conceive or is newly pregnant or is pregnant, please pass this episode along so that they can learn from it as well. And until we meet again, we always close out our Health University episodes with the recommendation of enjoy your day and class dismissed. If you want more episodes like this at Health University, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you at our next episode of Health University. But for now, class dismissed.